So when we talk about digital assets, have you ever stopped to ask where the value really comes from? I mean, is it all just hype and what the market thinks it's worth? Or could it be grounded in something, well, something real? Today, we're going to explore a new economic idea called the InterLink Protocol, and it has a pretty fascinating answer to that question by building a direct bridge between the digital world and actual everyday business. So let's just start with a simple question. What if a crypto token's value didn't just move because of trading charts, but because a real-world company was actually doing well? You know, think about it for a second. Every single time a customer buys something, every transaction directly adds a little bit of fuel to the value of that company's asset. That's the core idea we're going to unpack here. Now, to really get why that idea is so important, we first have to take a hard look at how things work right now. If you look at most crypto ecosystems today, where does the value actually come from? The answer, a lot of the time, is just plain speculation. And what we're looking at here are really two different worlds, side by side. On the left, you've got the model we see all the time, right? Value comes from people basically betting on future prices. But on the right, that's the new way that InterLink is proposing. Value is a direct result of economic activity. You know, real people buying real things. And look, this isn't just my opinion. This is a core observation straight from the folks behind the protocol. This quote really hits the nail on the head. It points out this huge disconnect we have. The tech is incredible, sure, but the value of the tokens built on it often has nothing to do with how a business is actually performing. And what that does is create all this volatility and a system that feels really detached from the real world. So the big question is, how do you fix that disconnect? Well, that's exactly what the InterLink protocol is designed to do. It's a solution that, from the ground up, is meant to be totally backed by transactions. You know, what's so interesting about this definition is that it's not just about payments, and it's not just about tokens. It's a whole economic architecture. The entire point is to create this direct, automated connection between a business making a sale and the value of its digital asset on the blockchain. So if you remember one thing, it should be this. It all comes down to a really simple but powerful idea. The more a business actually sells, the stronger its digital asset should become. It's about value following real utility, not just speculation. All right, so let's get into the mechanics of it. How does this system actually work? Let's follow the journey of a single payment to really see the protocol in action. Okay, before we dive into the steps, just take a look at the whole system here. You can see all the different pieces of the puzzle: the clients, the business itself, and the on-chain stuff like the liquidity pool. I know it might look a little complicated at first glance, but the way value moves through it is actually pretty simple and elegant. Let's walk through this together. Okay, so first, a business creates its own token. Think of it as a digital stock that represents its economic health. Step 2, they take that token and pair it with the network's main ITL token in a liquidity pool. This is what makes it tradable. Then, a customer comes along and pays the business for something. Now here's the cool part. A small piece of that payment is automatically used to buy the business's own token right out of that pool. And that creates this constant automated buying pressure. So the more sales the business makes, the more its own token gets bought. It turns into this amazing growth loop that's powered entirely by commerce. So we've seen how it works. Now let's talk about the so what. What's the actual impact of building an economy like this? Well, it completely changes the game. It shifts the focus from just processing a payment to actively using that payment to fuel growth. So what are the big takeaways here? First, you get this direct, unbreakable link between how many sales you make and the demand for your token. Second, liquidity isn't just coming from investors anymore. It's getting topped up with every single sale. This all means the asset's value is genuinely tied to its utility. What you end up with is this really elegant, unified system where everything, payments, liquidity, the business itself, is working together to build real sustainable value. And when you step back and look at the whole picture, it really suggests we could be looking at a completely new economic model for the digital age, one that's actually grounded, transparent, and directly connected to real economic output. Which, of course, leaves us with one final and pretty big question to think about. For years, we've all heard the promise that blockchain would bridge the digital and physical worlds. By turning every single sale into an act of creating value on-chain, could this be the kind of model that finally delivers on that promise? It's definitely a compelling vision for what the future of value could look like.